I was very involved in campus ministry, our Catholic chapel, during college, and so was given a real sense of that it's part of our baptismal call to serve the church and serve the people of God. And then I went to graduate school and again got involved with campus ministry. And then there was a sister who kind of saw me as a young woman involved with campus ministry and invited me and a few other women to join her community for once a week for their evening meal and prayer. And it just was this wonderful discovery for me of joining this community. I hadn't really met sisters before, and sharing faith and life together during the meal, and then going to prayer. And it was kind of an hour of contemplation, and I think I was hungering for a deeper spirituality at that point. So it was just very attractive to me. And that started me off, and then looking around at different communities, and then I found Dominican Sisters of Peace kind of right down the street from me in Connecticut.
You know, as a sibling, you want to love and support your sister. And so Anne made the decision with a lot of confidence and with a lot of support from the sisters in New Haven, and with a lot of love around her. So it wasn't a decision to feel concerned about, or one that raised a lot of concerns. You know, I would say that Anne has, navigated a tricky role with her calling to teach, and that to find places where she can teach, especially, at the college and university level, and to continue her work as an academic. It is a tricky road to walk while living in community, but the sisters who have lived with her, Sister Mary, Sister Amy, have been so incredibly supportive of her and so very flexible to move to South Bend and to support her as she pursues that vocation that the community of sisters has always kept Annie, wanted the best for Annie as she looked for the way that she will make her mark on the world outside of here as well.
I think I hope that young sisters will continue to join. I think we, growing up, have not spent a lot of time around people who are a lot older than our parents. So I have really enjoyed having those new relationships with the sisters who have been around for a while. But I think sometimes I do worry that there being such an age gap, what is going to be next, in the next 20, 30 years for her. So I hope that more young people feel called. I think she has lived with younger people, and there are younger women joining. So I think, we can only pray and encourage, I think so. And there's nobody better to do that than Annie, because she's just an infectious personality, and her joy and confidence in this decision, like Pat said, is infectious.
I think the more time that Anne has spent as a sister has only affirmed her decision to become a member of the community, and affirmed that her priorities are to live in community with the sisters, whatever other sacrifices that entails about exactly what a teaching profession might look like. It will be there, and she will be able to do it and be able to affect her students positively wherever they are, but have that greater good of living with the sisters and being part of this as well.
I mean, yeah. Annie's always had her own sphere of influence. I wouldn't say that she consumed the same media as anyone else her age. So I think that's just been amplified. Yeah, I'll tell her something and she will have never heard of it when it's very popular. So I mean, kind of just making fun of her. But I think it has felt just kind of amplifying her own personality and the way that she lives her life, I think, it just has like really meshed with that. So I think it's just kind of been super organic.
I think Anne has had to learn greater patience as she has lived in community. And I know that it has been a challenge at times, but I think she's done a wonderful job and is a wonderful housemate to all the sisters here at the House of Welcome and in Chicago and in South Bend as well.
For living in community, we need skills for communication, being clear, being transparent and authentic, having integrity in our relationships. So I hope that those skills that I've learned for living in community and practice living in community kind of overflow into my relationships with my family. I don't know if that is how you experience it, but trying to be mindful about being present and listening and nonviolent communication, asking questions, being available. Those are all things that we value living in community. And so I hope that they impact the family as well.
We sit at the dinner table for longer when you're home.
If I ever get frustrated with the church, it's I just know that I have someone who I can talk about those things with, and in preparing for marriage and these things, I just she's been someone who I can talk to and work through it. So I think this kind of concept of discernment and prayerful discernment, I think, has been incredibly instructive to me and really just helped me to develop my own faith. I think in just seeing how she has approached this decision, but also just how the community kind of approaches decisions. And yeah, it's been incredibly enriching.
And JR has known me throughout all of this process as well. So you can probably speak to concerns or changes and very different because you are not Catholic and didn't grow up Catholic. So it's a totally different perspective on what this life is about.
Yeah, I think going back to the concerns, not being brought up Catholic, my brother the other day asked me if, we're not very familiar with the process, and he asked me if we'd ever see Annie again. And I think I didn't, of course, I had a different perspective because I've been speaking with Annie, but had some concerns just because Annie was very welcoming when I had first started dating Bridget, and I think it was kind of a different experience for me. But I think seeing her really happy and being part of this process has been joyful for me and exciting for her. So those concerns have been no concerns at all. And I think she's done a very good job of kind of explaining and taking me through the process. So
I think Anne has always had excellent communication skills. So the change is by degrees, not anything large scale. I think that all of us are going through the process of drawing the kind of boundaries around our adult life. And I think Anne has been successful about that, of, helping our father navigate it as well and understand that as much as he is welcome to come visit, it's not the same as having us at home, and that Anne does have obligations and things and a family outside that she also has to spend time with. And as much as that's an experience of Anne joining the sisters, it's also just an experience of entering, your late 20s, your 30s, and becoming an adult with your own life. And so I think Anne, of course, leads the way, as she always has, as the oldest in our family. And that example has been helpful for all of us as we set our boundaries.
With my friends and everything, I refer to nun sister and then sister that's getting married, because it gets people are like, wait, what? I thought you had a sister who's becoming a nun. Who's getting married? And so nun sister. And when I was explaining, people are, do you have holiday plans? Oh, my sister is officially joining her religious community. Wow. What does that mean? Oh, is she going to wear a habit? How did she decide to do that? The person that I particularly recall this conversation with is an atheist. And I was like, she felt called by God. And he was like, huh. It's just kind of a funny thing to talk to people about. But I think on the whole, people are very curious to understand more about it. And Annie is so happy that it's easy to say, I know it sounds like an odd thing, but it really has brought a lot of joy and peace to her life. And so it's I feel lucky that I get to tell people about a new life experience, because you don't know how that's going to impact someone.
I'm a teacher at a secular boys' school, but the Catholic community within the school tries to know each other, tries to create events like opportunities to attend Mass together. And so when Annie first joined, when we had our entrance ceremony 3 years ago, it got published as a note in the Catholic Register in Nashville. And then I got a lot of notes over email from different boys and different families. And so I think within the Catholic community, especially, there's a lot of enthusiasm and interest that someone would pursue a religious life in the way that Anne has. And so, for our younger Catholic students, I think it was a really exciting example for them to follow and to know someone so close to them, just like when anybody they know enters the priesthood. Anne was a similar example to them of someone pursuing a religious life.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like we get kind of bogged down in explaining it, that it's hard. JR's been reminding me of this, of remember to tell them that we're very excited, So I think you can kind of get bogged down in the details of it, but we just it's been helpful to me for you to say that, because it's and this is really great and we're so happy, and because people don't have that experience, or they have, they grew up Catholic and are no longer, and so they kind of have maybe or not a modern or contemporary understanding of this community and how vibrant it is. So I think it's just kind of, weeding through those details so you can kind of express the joy and how the vibrancy of this life.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think at first, the challenges of explaining it to someone who's not familiar with the process, myself included, but also maybe hesitant because we don't know, someone else who didn't grow up Catholic or who has a different relationship with just being religious. We were concerned that, do we have to kind of defend this decision for Annie? So I think that making sure that it's a career path, that it's important for her and that we support that decision. So I think making sure that we're not afraid to explain this process it's been important.
I actually have been explaining it of it's like her wedding type thing. That's how big of a deal it is, so that people can have something that they relate to and can understand that wouldn't miss it for the world type thing.
I would also say what I imagine some people, we talked a lot about Anne and what the path means for her, but what I think people sometimes miss is that the community of sisters is a community of real people, that we are all building real relationships with through Anne entering the community. And I would say, as a sibling, one of the most fun parts of the experience is getting to know other sisters, getting to know Sister Pat and Sister Margie and Sister Amy and Sister Mary, and getting to know them and their stories in life, and forming friendships with the people that Anne has been closest to during these first 3 years in the community, that it brings all of these new people into your life who are also really wonderful and thoughtful and loving people. And I think it makes always coming up here and going to see Anne so much fun.